I got this whole preface, this whole disclaimer that when I share that one, I give that also. Hold on, let me get this. All right, so, and I shared that before with everybody, but you know, we'll talk about that later. But anyway, hey everybody, Lynette, shalom. Tony Greenhouse, shalom. Tabitha, hey girl, hey, greetings. Gloria, hi. Dawn, Grand Rising. Auntie, shalom, Grand Rising. Ollie, Grand Rising. Tikva, hey girl, hey. Hannah, Grand Rising. Who's that? Kendrick, shalom, shalom, sis. Hold on, I said I was gonna do something. Okay, boom. My screen keep jumping around, y'all. Nene, shalom, sis, over here on Facebook. Y'all ready? BC, shalom, shalom. Shebrew, hey girl, hey Jamil. I was already talking to you. Shalom, shalom. Avia, shalom, shalom. Shayla, hey cousin. Elijah, Grand Rising, LeBron, Joe, namaste. What's up, cousin? And everybody else here already hanging out in the background. Oahspe College University, light and peace, brethren. All right, y'all. And everybody else here hanging out in the background in both places, Facebook and YouTube. Top of the morning to you. All right, y'all. Today, I've been trying to figure out how we're going to do this, right? I haven't got it printed out yet, but I had to print out some things because it's so light and I had to kind of trace over it a little bit. So I'm like, so the first half of the morning I was up, I was all in the book of Shalom, right? So I was like, ooh, should we talk about that? Or should we just kind of pick up where we already are in Oahspe and we're just kind of adding little stuff here and there? So let me do this first. Let me do my little opening. Happy Saturday. It is December 17th, 2022, day 290 of year 4 of reading through the books of the Law and the Prophets, and of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1,309. Today, we will be starting the Lord's second book, but we're going to read it from the John Lant plates because I found a few additions. I haven't gotten through all of it. I found a few additions. Some things were taken away. But before we even start reading, I want to reiterate something that they had at the preface of the John Lant plates about things being added or taken away and how it's good, how the John Lant plates is good, just how it was, right? So I'm going to read that in a second. And that is under the book of Sue. So it's the heavenly account. The heavenly account is the book of Sue. The Lord's second book is the earthly account, which is on page 84 at the bottom. So we're going to read through this. And if we got some time left, because I got class today, we'll hop back over here to the field guide to the spirit world, right? Okay, so hold on. Okay, so, Father, we thank you for intuition. Okay, so at the beginning of the preface, on page 3 of the PDF, it says, page 3 is the last portion of the preface, right? So halfway through the paragraph, it says, a careful examination of the original manuscript by a patient and careful reader has proved the original to be uniform and without contradictory assertions from beginning to end. This is saying a good deal for a work so comprehensive as Oahspe. Highlight that in y'all book or underline something, just so you remember that while we're going through this, right? So, unbiased with all that we've already learned. We're just trying to get to the original everything, making sure we're understanding some of these principles correctly. And it's proved good since we've been reading through like the last 7 months now, right? And quite a few of you a whole lot longer than that. I just heard about Oahspe about 7 months ago, but it's intrigued me. All right, so with that being said, right, we got to be careful and diligent students. So, I printed out the Lord's second book, and we're going to read from it. And it's a pretty short book, so it's 3 pages printed out. And you can see it's pretty short there, but there was something else. Oh, yeah. I printed out the index as well. I printed out this one because I got the books mixed up. But while I was starting it, I realized it was the wrong book. Okay. So in the index, you will find it down. It's the one, you'll find the Lord's second book. You can barely read it. I had to actually write over it. So down, you will see, you can probably see 89 at the bottom. You can probably see 89 at the bottom, but right above it, it was really, really light. That's why it took me a little while to find it. It's really, really light. I had to blow it up on my computer screen, and it says page 86. It says page 86, and it says 95, or it should be a P right there, but the P is missing. I didn't trace over the P because I couldn't see it at all. And it said the Lord's second book, contemporaneous with the book of Sue, right? So that's where you can find that in the index. I didn't send you a copy? I sent you. Send me an email so I don't forget. Oahspe College University. When I check my emails, just put John Lant Plates in the title. If anybody don't have it already, just put John Lant Plates. Email me. In the email, if you know it, you can find it in the About section. Okay, so let's hop right over here. There's also something I noticed going through here while I was in the book of Shalom. I was like, I got to find the beginning where this begins at so I can make sure this is talking about the same person. I wanted to make sure we weren't getting entities mixed up. So in the book of Shalom, I noticed that Jehovah was shortened to J-E-H, right? So I assumed it was Jehovah. Then I started thinking, well, what if this is Jah? Because we heard about a Jah through here. And I'm like, let's just make sure. So while I was taking time trying to find that, I couldn't find the beginning of it, but time was getting away from me. I was like, you know what, let me come back to this. Let me hop right over to the Lord's second book. But I found it in the Lord's second book. Interesting, right? And so here, did I highlight it in my... I highlighted in the other one I left upstairs. I got two Oahspe's big blues that I'm going back and forth with doing notes. But anyway, I find it in here as well. It seems, I'm almost certain now that when you see J-E-H in the John Lant place, it is interchangeably used with the full spelling of Jehovah, right? But I said I'm almost 100% certain because as I was kind of skimming through, just kind of looking, I couldn't quite understand why it was like within a sentence, you would have Jehovah's name mentioned twice, but then you have J in there. So I'm like, okay, so it's, like I said, I'm not sure. I'm almost certain that it's interchangeable. It's like a shortened form, like Pam is a shortened form of Pamela, right? I'm thinking it's like that. Don't quote me because I just started looking at it. Just caught my eye this morning. So I just want to make sure the way the sentence read, I'm thinking if it's not Jehovah, it's the current God who was ruling at the time, right? So don't quote me. That's something that I noticed. I ain't figured it out yet. If y'all get through it and y'all figure it out, help a sister out. I just saw your email come through. Okay, Oahspe College University. I just saw it. Okay, so let's start. I'm going to read from the John Lant place that I printed out. Zachary, Yahoo, Shalom, Shalom, right? Y'all follow along. And where I got to almost to the end of the chapter while making the corrections and stuff. Not corrections, but making the changes that I saw that was different from the John Lant place. And I just kind of highlighted all the changes and made little notes, right? Okay. So we'll start on page 84 at the bottom. The Lord's second book, being contemporaneous with the book of Sue, son of Jehovah, as the latter is chiefly of the angels of heaven, so is the Lord's book of man on the earth. And also here in the John Lant place, there are no verses. You rarely find the chapters. So somebody else, or maybe in the later editions, is when they broke it up and started adding verses to it. So that's one thing that I also have been doing. According to this, the big blue, I've been adding the verses, to it. So it's an easy reference for me to kind of go back while I'm doing my research and going line by line, looking at stuff, right? Okay. So listen, verse 1. God said, I, the Lord, for my predecessors and successors and for myself, declare these things unto mortals. The chosen of God being called Ehims, because they were the first fruit. Now, Big Blue removed first. It's just were the fruit of both heaven and earth. But the John Lant plates has, they were the first fruit, right? That could be a big deal, right? That could be like a total game changer by adding that up there, right? Just look at my children. There is fruit that come from me and my husband, but there is only one first fruit that comes from me and him, and that would be identified as Elijah, the oldest child, right? So fruit of heaven and earth and first fruit of the heaven and earth, there's definitely a difference there, right? John Lant Plates has first fruit. Big Blue has removed first, right? So, and just thinking about that, remember what this says in the preface. A careful examination of the original manuscript by a patient and careful reader proves the original to be uniform and without contradictory assertions from beginning to end, right? So just keep that in mind while we're going through this. I just noticed some of them little things that could just change. One word can change, can be like, it literally can change everything, right? Just having fruit and then having the first fruit. There's a big difference with that. Yeah, the John Lant plates are authentic, right? This is what John Newbro typed. And this is what he gave to the first printer, whose name was John Lant. For those of you that are just tuning in, the first printer was John Lant. But after he gave John Lant his work with all his notes, right, and you will see all of that on these plates, he started talking to some of his Mason brethren and stuff. And so John Newbro decided, wait a minute, we don't want John Lant to do it. They went and took the manuscripts back, and then they started changing some stuff. They started inserting some stuff from Masonic rituals and rites. And I actually got a book. Somebody shared the name of the book yesterday in the group chat that we in, the messenger chat on Facebook, and I asked what book was this, and I noticed within that Masonic rites book there are some things definitely added, the whole flow of things, like in the book of Safa, which we've been talking about before. So I'm like, oh shoot. Right? And so that's something I noticed yesterday too, but I don't want to jump ahead of myself. I'm like so excited about some of all these little small things, so y'all bear with me, right? I'm just trying to stay focused. All right. Okay, so go back. Verse 2. The chosen of God being called Ehims, because they were the first fruit of both heaven and earth, were taken into all the earth in the protection of God, his lords and angels, for the fulfillment of man on earth, for the glory of the Almighty. And I, the Lord, a one-time mortal, with my holy angels, who had sprung from the earth in former times, walked with man to keep him upright in the way he should go. By command of God, angels watch over man, teaching man oft times unknowingly to himself in all good works and industry. By constant changes of watch did the angels relieve one another daily, weekly, and monthly. And in no time did the angels leave the Ehims alone And in no time did the angels leave the Ehims alone and without the light of heaven. And verse 6, this is just a small change, right? I understand the editing to make things flow smoothly so it's an easier read, you know? But here, verse 6 says, and the angels often took on sargus and were seen by man even daily, and man talked with them face to face, and angels told man what was good for him, showing him the way of righteousness, and man depended on the Lord and his angels for helpfulness and understanding. So at the beginning of verse 6, right, here in the John Lant place, verse 6 begins, and the angels often took on sargus. But here in Big Blue, the lowest edition, it added, there is a beginning that was added in here before verse 6 here. And what was added was, and whithersoever the Ehims went, there went the angels. That was added, right? Because that portion right there, and whithersoever the Ehims went, there went the angels. That's not in the John Lant plates, okay? And I'll just read it again. And that was the only change there. And the angels often took on Sargis and were seen by man even daily, and man talked with them face to face. And angels told man what was good for him, showing him the way of righteousness. And man depended on the Lord and his angels for helpfulness and understanding. Okay, so here there's a couple things added. In verse 7, where it says, and the angels told man, the was added, right? It's not really a big deal, right? I understand editing, make things, like I said, flow smoother. But the was added. It says, and men depended on the Lord and his angels. And in Big Blue, for all things was added. That's not in the John Lant plates. It says, and man depended on the Lord and his angels for helpfulness and understanding. Right? It's not really big changes. Don't really change it a lot, you know, but we just calling out the changes just so we are aware of what was changed, right? And even in the footnotes of Oahspe here down at the bottom, they let you know some of the changes, what they changed, but not all of these small changes. They didn't, not that it makes a big deal, but that first fruit parts makes a really big deal to me, because that just can kind of change the whole trajectory of everything. Adding fruits of heaven and earth, and then adding first fruits of heaven and earth, right? There's definitely a difference there. Maybe it's just an oversight. I don't know. We'll see where this goes. All right. Verse 9. Now when the earth was inhabited in many places, there were thousands of cities and villages. The Lord said unto man, behold, thou hast made the earth the joy of the Lord, and now I give it into thy keeping. How sayest thou? And man answered, it is well. I can keep the earth, and I shall rejoice thereon, because it is the gift of God. The Lord said, if I stay with thee day and night forever, thou wilt not put forth thine own power and judgment. Man said, go thy way, O Lord. Then the Lord withdrew a while, taking his angels with him. There's another change coming up. But that wasn't it. I thought I was there. Okay. Verse 15. Now in those days there were ground people dwelling in the wilderness, who had not the light of heaven in them, neither could they be made to understand. As one may discourse with an ox, and it heedeth not, so was speech to the people of darkness. Here in verse 16, nope, it's not 16, it's 18. Let me keep going. Hold on. I'm not sure the page. Okay, so the page, yeah, okay, page 84 is where we started. We're on page 85 now in Big Blue at the bottom. I'll read verse 16 again. Okay. Hold on. Verse 16. As one may discourse, now look, after we get past 22, that's where I had to stop. So if y'all lose y'all place, it'll take me a couple seconds to find it, because I stopped numbering here because I had to get ready and get down here. So, all right. But y'all be paying attention. Y'all be reading from there while I'm reading from here, and vice versa, whichever one you got. All right. Verse 16. As one may discourse with an ox, and it heedeth not, so was speech to the people of darkness. Nevertheless, in winter, when food was scarce, the ground people came to the cities, to the Ehims, beseeching for food. The Ehim, remembering God's commandments, went out to them, treating them to everything good to eat. Now here, verse 18, it has in the first part of the verse, people of darkness, tempted by the people of darkness, to whereas in the John Lant plates, it says tempted by the ground people, right? So they just kind of use that interchangeably. Does it make a big deal? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know yet. Okay. Verse 18, now behold, the chosen were tempted by the ground people. Like I said in big blue, it says people of darkness. And a new race was born on the earth called Ehuans, after the manner of the ancient warriors that destroyed the chosen before the flood. These Ehuans were copper-colored and capable of speech. Verse 20, God, beholding what happened, called the Ehims, saying, Oh, that ye could dispense with the Lord. Gave I not unto you the mark of circumcision as a limit to the line of my chosen? And in verse 21, there is a change. In the John Lant place, it says, Hear my prophecy. The Ehims shall be taught in the manner of Jeh. That's the first time we see Jehovah shortened today, right? Jeh. But also in verse 21, in the lowest edition, it says Ehuan, to whereas John Lant plate says Ehim. And we know that the two are different people, the Ehim and the Ehuan, right? So that's something I'm still trying to work through as we read through the rest of this, just to kind of make sure, see if it was a typo. But I keep thinking back to the beginning of this, and it says a careful examination of the original manuscript by a patient and careful reader has proved the original to be uniform and without contradictory assertions from beginning to end, right? I just keep going back to that. I'm like, okay, so there is, just trying to work all this out. Is it going to make a big difference in the scope of things? I don't know, right? But I think we'll get a little bit higher light if there are some misunderstandings with some things. It'll be brought out if we do the diligent study and we actually pay attention and not just brush it off, right? That's my gut thought, right? My gut feeling. Okay, verse 21. Reading from the John Lant plates. Hear my prophecy, the Ehims, and over here in the lowest edition it says the Ehuan, right? Yeah, it is a big difference. Mom, shalom, shalom. Hear my prophecy, the Ehims shall be taught in the name of Jeh, Jeh. And here in the lowest edition, they just finished spelling it out like it. Jeh, Jeh, is the shortened version of Jehovah. I'm not 100% sure of that yet, but it seems like that's right, but I don't know yet. But I'm just letting y'all know of the change, right? The Ehims shall be taught in the name of Jeh. Like I said, it says Jehovah over here, and it says the Great Spirit, which is why I'm like, that probably is Jehovah, because directly after it, it says the Great Spirit. The Ehims shall be taught in the name of Jeh, the Great Spirit, and the plans of heaven and earth, and the Ehuan, and here is Ehuan, it says Ehuan in both versions, and the Ehuan shall inhabit the whole earth in time to come, and he shall have dominion over everything on earth and in the waters of the earth. And in the time to come, the Ehim, and it goes back to Ehim, right? And it says Ehim in both versions of this now. And in time to come, the Ehim race, yes. Dad, you're gonna have to wait. Hold on, Tootie. And in time to come, the Ehim race shall disappear from the earth. Their likes shall not be found on this my footstool, right? So that is I marked this up because this could be a big portion of something too. Like I said, don't know, but I think that's really important. Like Jamil said, that is a big difference, right? There's two different types of people. It said it's uniform. I'm like, okay, so we're gonna keep that, keep it on the table. Maybe we should, on the table, we need to make a box of like an important box. Pay attention, very important or something on the table. Like remove it from, we can keep it on the table, but not necessarily put it on the shelf. We need to keep it at the forefront. So a box on the table, very important, like urgent, right? Okay. All right, that and first fruit need to go in that box right there on the table, so we keep that. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Let me just read the whole verse 20 again. God, beholding what had happened, called the Ehims, saying, O ye that ye could dispense with the Lord, gave I not unto you the mark of circumcision as a limit to the line of my chosen? Hear my prophecy. There was something added here too. Okay, yeah, in the John Lant plates, it simply says, verse 21 starts, and it says, hear my prophecy. But verse 21 here says, hear me now in my prophecy, right? Big difference? No, not really. I don't know. But it says in the John Lant plates, hear my prophecy. The Ehings shall be taught in the name of Je, the great spirit, and the plans of heaven and earth. And the Ehuan shall inhabit the whole earth in the time to come, and he shall have dominion over everything on earth and in the waters of the earth. And in the time to come, the Ehin race shall disappear from the earth. Their like shall not be found on this, my footstool. Jamil said the lowest edition is a writing based on Oahspe 1891 and 1882 edition, so many of these changes happen with those editions. That's a good point. I didn't quite look into that. I knew it was those editions, but thank you for that, Jamil. Okay, so that's where I stopped numbering the verses, right? So at 22, so the Ehings, verse 23, that's what we're going to pick up. And we just together, we're going to have to go through here and find the changes as I read through them at 8 o'clock. Because I didn't get a chance to go through the rest of this. So I'm gonna just read it. And then I guess maybe when we come back tomorrow, or if I see y'all make a comment, if y'all going back and forth, bring it out and we can mark it while we go. But we may have to just kind of like come back and just like keep referencing things, because it'll take us forever if we do this with every single chapter, which we should. I'm just going to have to do more of that on my personal time and just bring it out to y'all so y'all can look, All right, verse 23. The Ehings inquired what these things should... Hold on. Is that what? Who? The Ehings inquired... It just said W-H-A or W-H-O. The Ehings inquired... Maybe that should be when. It just say W-H... I don't know what this is. It's kind of darkened. Maybe when these things should come to pass. Lord said in 20,000 years. The Lord said from this time forth, the Ehings shall not mingle with any other people on the face of the earth. The Ehings. I just want to make sure the Ehings, it said Ehings in both places. Yes, Ehings. Okay. Rita, good morning. Okay, I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read verse 23 again. We in the Lord's second book on page 86 now. The Ehings inquired when these things should come to pass. Lord said, in 20,000 years. The Lord said, from this time forth, the Ehings shall not mingle with any other people on the face of the earth. And whosoever violateth my word shall be cast out of my cities and go and dwell with the barbarians. Verse 25. Inasmuch as the Ehuans are your heirs. Yeah, Ehuans. I'm just checking Ehuans and stuff now. I need to look at those editions to be sure. Yeah, okay. Inasmuch as the Ehuans are your heirs and are capable of everlasting life, ye shall be unto them the light of my kingdoms, teaching them peace, righteousness, and mercy. But ye shall in no case suffer them to enter your cities and abide therein, neither shall ye raise a hand to do them harm. But if they come upon you in multitudes to take your stores, then shall ye depart out of that city, leaving the Ehuans to take the goods and food for themselves. For ye shall be an example of non-resistance, thus establish love of God in them. Yeah, okay. The next page. And also the page numbers is... The page numbers in the John Lant plates, there's like 2 sets of page numbers, right? And the chapters are different. No, I'm sorry. No, I'm thinking it's chapter 11. No, I'm sorry. He's using Roman numerals. It's chapter 2. But at the top of this, it has page 2, and at the bottom is written 87. So you'll have to just navigate your way through so you don't get mixed up when you're trying to find different pages. And also those pages are different from if you're scrolling through the PDF, the page numbers for the PDF is different. So it may take you a while to line everything up. All right. That's a bit of a headache. Okay. So we at chapter 2. God foresaw that the Ehuans should be separated from the Drooks. Otherwise, Yaks would again be born into the world. He said to the Ehuans cannot hear the voice of the Lord. Okay, I'm double checking it now every time it come up. He said unto the Ehuans cannot hear the voice of the Lord. Hence, go tell them. Hold on, wait a minute. Maybe I'm getting it mixed up. Okay, the Ehuans. Hold on, I gotta find a chart. The current races of man descend from the Ehuans and the Gons, right? Ehuans, not Eheens, because the Eheens died out, right? Somebody give me a quick answer before I go scrolling through here. I forget which chapter that chart is on. I think it's at the end of the glossary of humanity, at the end of the book of Ranothan. I think I said that right. Glossary. So they say. Okay, lineage of humanity. Okay. Eheens, Gons, sacred little people. Now we're seeing. Hold on. Ehuans. Okay, the chart is on page 789, lineage of humanity. Okay, Eheens, the sacred little people, now extinct. Here's what I'm trying to figure out. If you meet with the Drooks, your seed shall not inherit everlasting life. Who broke the commandment, and Yaks again were born into the world. Let me just keep reading this, because maybe this is going to develop. I need to make sure I'm keeping my understanding correct about the Eheens and the Ehuans, because it seemed here, well, okay, the sacred little people, clearly, they could hear, but they're going to die. They could hear the voice of Creator. And I guess they were teaching the Ehuans, but they are going to eventually die out. Okay. I'm getting mixed up here. Let me just put this here. Your simple chart. Okay, I'm gonna have to pull it up. Oahspe College University. Eheens are half angel and half human. Okay. Okay, so let me just kind of keep my thoughts to myself. I just want to make sure I'm not misunderstanding it. Okay. All right. Let's go back. Let's start the chapter over. Verse 1. God foresaw that the Ehuans should be separated from the Drooks, otherwise Yaks would again be born into the world. He said unto the Ehuans cannot hear the voice of the Lord. Hence, go tell them the Lord said, if ye mingle with the Drooks, your seed shall not inherit everlasting life, but go down in darkness. The Ehuans told them, nevertheless, many Ehuans broke the commandment, and Yaks were again born into the world. The Eheens said to one another, are not these like those of the legends of old, who were made eunuchs and servants? The Ehuans inquired the meaning, and were told they made a law unto themselves. And they were told they made a law unto themselves, making eunuchs and servants of both Yaks and the ground people wherever they came upon them. The Eheens feared for the judgments of God, and called out to him for a remedy. But God answered them, saying, because of the enmity betwixt these two races, behold, they will not marry. Make eunuchs, servants, ground people upon them, remedy. They will not marry. Verse 7. Okay. Because of the enmity between these two races, behold, they will not marry. Suffer ye the Ehuans to do in their own way. For what profit is it to bring forth heirs that cannot inherit my exalted heavens? Because the tribes of darkness cannot be made to understand, their souls go out of being as a lump that is burned out. Okay, verse 8. Ehuans is from Ehines and Drooks. Right, okay. Yeah, I got to study that some more. my whole little hierarchy thing. I understand it, but I still be getting mixed up sometimes when I'm trying to figure it out. I just want to, I'm just trying to follow the family line. Okay, it's going to take me a while, y'all. I just started reading Oahspe. Okay, hold on. Verse 8. So it came to pass, the Ehuans made eunuchs of the tribes of darkness, of both sexes did they thus, and they made slaves of them also. The Lord said, the Ehuans shall have laws of their own. The Ehines shall make laws for them, saying, thus saith the Lord, the Ehuans shall be guardians over the Ehines. Okay. All right, yeah, that's there. That's verse 10. Okay. The Ehuans shall be guardians over the Ehines, the sacred people, and through the Ehines will I bless the Ehuans and make them mighty. Okay. Ehines is a sacred little people. The Ehuans is the copper-colored people. Okay. Copper-colored people protecting the little people. Okay. I just got to keep repeating that in my head, make sure I ain't getting it mixed up. Okay. The Ehuans shall be guardians over the Ehines, the sacred people, and through the Ehine will I bless the Ehuans and make them mighty. Since it is not lawful for the Ehines to kill beast, bird, serpent, behold, their cities and mounds are invaded by all manner of evil beasts and serpents. Okay. Since it is not lawful for the Ehines to kill beast, bird, serpent, behold, their cities and mounds are invaded by all manner of evil beasts and serpents. The Ehuans shall slay all such evil beasts and serpents, and they shall guard around about the cities and mounds where abide my chosen. Servants shall the ground people and the yaks be unto the Ehuan, and the latter shall cast their servants. And the latter shall cast their servants, that they shall not multiply on the earth. Hear ye then the law of God betwixt the Ehuans one with another. And right here, it actually breaks it up. And it has Ehuan commandments, right? But it doesn't have it here in the lowest edition. After, hold on, whoso doeth. Okay, between verse 15 and 16, you see here in the John Lant plates, it has Ehuan commandments. Right there. Ehuan commandments. Hey, baby. I mean, you was asleep when I came here last night. Okay. Verse 16. Ehuan commandments. Whoso doeth injury to his neighbor or to a stranger, the same shall be done unto him. Whoso taketh from another, an equivalent shall he render twofold. Whoso killeth a man or woman or child shall be put to death. Whoso marrieth his sister or mother, or his half-sister or half-mother, they will suffer death together. Hold on, let me see. Got that in there? Twofold. Yeah, suffer death together. Verse 20. Whoso oppresseth another shall be cast out of the tribe of his people. He that blasphemeth the Great Spirit shall be put to death. He that respecteth not the time of woman shall be put to death. Y'all know what it is, right? The 2022, right? While some men enjoy getting their, how I've heard some men term it, their red wings. First of all, it's disgusting. Stop it. They're talking about having sex with a woman while she's on her cycle. Don't do it. But people actually do it in some sex magic rituals as well, right? Because they say the blood is binding them. And we ain't getting into all of that, but this is what they're talking about. They ain't good for nobody to do, so just don't, right? And it's actually been medically tested that if you do that, there is a higher there is a higher percentage of women who actually get cervical cancer because of that, right? Yeah, you can go look that up. Verse 22, he that respecteth not the time of woman shall be put to death. The fields I have given to the Ehenes, but the forest and wilderness have I given unto the Ehuans. And it was so. The Ehuans began to be carnivorous, but both the Ehenes and the tribes of darkness ate neither fish nor flesh. Fields. Okay. Okay, so chapter 3. Oh, that's a good point, Jamil. That's a good point. This is why in many cultures, women are shunned during their monthly. Good thinking, sis, good thinking. That makes sense. It makes sense. But some of them, they treat them like they got a disease and stuff. I'm like, well, dog. They don't in some places, they don't even let the Bible, let the women read the Bible or read the scripture when she on her cycle. I don't believe in none of that foolishness. Y'all just need to practice being sanitary and don't be doing disgusting stuff. But I'm gonna keep reading the words of light all the days of my life. Look, the presence of women is an omen. Yeah, that's crazy teaching, Jamil, right? Father, help us, our brethren and sisters. You know what's crazy? What's crazy to me? I'm gonna get back to this. What we got? 8:15. What's crazy to me is some of these teachings that, and not to get on the men, right? I ain't saying all men. Some men who are trapped in some of these religious circles and stuff who really lord over women, they brainwash. I'll just say they brainwash the women so bad or so good that the women even start speaking the same nonsense that they're spewing out, and they begin to spew it at other women. I'm like, sis, how dare you? Like, who taught you that about yourself? I had a call, boy, I just like, man, Father help her. What's crazy is, it's not even really men that be coming out their face at me, right? And a lot of men just don't, especially when they see my husband in the background, they hold their tongue. They don't overstep their bounds. Some of them have, then they get blocked. But the women is the one that be sending the message. Sis, this is why women shouldn't be preaching in the church. First of all, heifer, I ain't in the church. Right? No, but seriously, no disrespect to anybody. I had to think about my response, and I'd be like, stop, nope, delete it all, delete it all. Thank you for your input, sister. And I just go about my business. Oh my gosh. I'm like, woo, woo, this. Oh, no, let me go to your page. Oh, first of all, then I'm like, Father, help me. Delete. Get rid of all of that. Breathe. You know what? I don't even have to respond to her. I really don't. I'm going to just keep on doing what I do, right? I be having my moments sometimes, but I got to think about my response to people, right? So I'm just like, Pam, remember, you used to be there. Don't do that. Show us some grace. I'm like, just thank you for your input, sister. But at this point, our understanding of things is just a little bit different. And I got to make it sound nice and sweet. Otherwise, the channel wouldn't be as enlightening as it should be. Okay, let's get back to this. All right. Chapter 3. What are they doing? Elijah. Y'all heard, I know y'all heard them. It's the weekend. My grandbabies is here. They hear all that noise. Elijah. Hold on. While I haul up the stairs real quick. Hold on. Hey. Okay, I'm back. Chapter 3. Okay, from John Lant plates. In all the great divisions of the earth, these things were, nor had one division of the earth much preference over another. But in the regions of summer weather, where the earth brought forth abundantly, the Ehuans and ground people dwelt most numerously. Verse 2. Though the Ehims dwelt in both the warm and cold countries, for they clothed themselves and built habitations, but the Ehuans wore only a covering about the loins, neither built they any habitations, and they roved about far and near. But the ground people traveled not, and they mingled with their own kin, bringing forth heirs of darkness. Hey, what in the world? What is y'all doing?
We're playing, like hitting, zombie hitting.
First of all, quit acting like a zombie, and don't hit him, because somebody gonna start crying in a minute, because you done hit him too hard.
Mom, we hitting him. Look, there's some walk. We're doing this.
Go do that, Tootie. Go on upstairs. Y'all don't even lose my spot. Go on upstairs, y'all.
Stop it.
Take it upstairs. There was a change at verse 24. Okay, thank you. 24. And so, hold on. And it was so, let me write 24. And it was so the Ehuans began to be carnivorous. And it was so the Ehuans began to be carnivorous. But the Ehims ate. Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay. Okay. In the John Lant plates, verse 24 says, and it was so, the Ehuans began to be carnivorous, but both the Ehims and the tribes of darkness ate neither flesh nor fish. Here in the lowest edition it said, and it was so, the Ehuans began to be carnivorous, but the Ehims ate neither flesh nor fish. Why would you take out any tribes of darkness? Hold up. I'm not saying they did anything nefarious, right? We're trying to understand all this and why certain words was removed. But that could be, there could be that's like a big thing, right? But the Ehims ate neither flesh nor fish, to where it says here, but both the Ehims and the tribes of darkness ate neither flesh nor fish, right? That's something big. It's in a footnote. Oh, yeah, okay. I would have got there eventually with the number 3, right? Thank you. Okay. The Ehims and the tribes of darkness ate neither flesh nor fish. Okay, so that was marked. So we're looking for the changes that are not in the footnotes. But that's good that we pointed out and we can see that they did put that footnote there. Okay, but we know the previous ones are not there unless they're in the previous versions, like the 1891 and I think it was the 1892 that Jamia said. But yeah, there is a big difference. I don't think that should have been made a footnote, right? Because that could, especially with people with the controversy of what we're going through now, eating plant-based diets and stuff, right? People coming through here. Most people that read this is not going to read Oahspe like we read it, reading the footnotes. Nobody ever pays attention to the footnotes. Only people that pay attention to footnotes is people who research, from my understanding. It's like, that's there, but let me just get to the, if they need to look up a definition or something. But nobody ever really reads that, so it does make a big difference. I don't think there should be a footnote. I'm not sure why they put and the tribes of darkness, why they put that in a footnote, but that definitely is a big difference, Ima. Yeah, the John Lant plates, I mentioned that it doesn't have verses. The original manuscript is just straight writing all the way through. I mean, he breaks it up a little bit, but there are no number verses. Somebody else came in, or maybe when they started adding changes, maybe that's when they started adding verses. But that was something I mentioned. So we got to kind of, if you go and follow along, you're going to have to just kind of move your hand along the lowest edition while you're reading the John Lant plates so you don't lose your spot. Okay. Where was we at? Only wore a covering about the loins. Two? Hold on. Yeah, you can get confused really quick. Hold on, I'm confused about where I was at. Okay. All right, though the Ehims. All right, though the Ehims go for war. Okay, I'll start at verse. Let me just read it over. Verse 1. In all the great divisions of the earth, these things were, nor had one division of the earth much preference over another, but in the regions of warm weather, where the earth brought forth abundantly, the Ehuans and the ground people dwelt most numerously. That would be like places like Africa, right? Though the Ehims dwelt in both the warm and cold countries, for they clothed themselves and built habitations, but the Ehuans wore only a covering about the loins, neither built they any habitations, but they roved about far and near. But the ground people traveled not, and they mingled with their own kin, bringing forth heirs of darkness. The Ehuans learned the laws and obeyed them, and they looked upon the Ehims as a sacred people, doing them no harm. And it came to pass that the Ehuans were a very prolific people, 4 times more prolific than the Ehims. Hold on. Okay, Ehims. More prolific. Okay, the Ehuans is the copper color. Ehims is the sacred little people who can hear voice of Creator. But the Ehuans were very, very prolific. Okay, and it came to pass that the Ehuans were a very prolific people, 4 times more prolific than the Ehims, or the ground people, and they spread rapidly over the earth in all the regions where the earth brought forth fruit and roots and flesh and fish that were good to eat. And this is the end. Verse 7. For 2,000 years the Ehuans prospered and they became mighty in many countries. But in course of time they began to war upon one another. And for hundreds of years they descended lower and lower in darkness, and they obeyed no longer the commandments of God, but they mingled with the ground people, bringing forth heirs of darkness. And that's the end of the Lord's second book, contemporaneous with the book of Sue. Okay, so I think that's about, if y'all didn't catch any other changes, that was all of the changes that I marked in this little short book, but there are some very key ones that we marked. Selah, shalom, shalom. Shebrew. Oh, you talking Shebrew. Okay, diet is gradual. Okay. All right, y'all. So I hope y'all got something out of that. I ain't about to end it, girl. Yeah, in a few minutes I am. So what y'all, hold on, Tootie, hold on. Yeah, that's right. I remember that. Matter of fact, it talks about that when it's like Selah said, it shows the change of diet is gradual, right? Some of them, it talk. I think I highlight that. We'll get to it. I'll point it out when we get to it. It'll be a while, but it's definitely there. So there was some interesting changes that were made that could change the whole trajectory. Not too much, but enough where it'll make you stop and think about some things, especially where they interchange Ehin and Ehun back in verse 20 of chapter 1. In chapter 1, verse 20. Hear me now in my prophecy, the Ehun, to where the John Lant plate says Ehin, right? But the rest of the time it calls out the Ehin and the Ehun is correct. So I'm not sure if it was a typo here and they just didn't catch it or what. But I keep thinking about what it says at the beginning of this, that this is good and everything flows correctly. A careful examination of the original manuscript by a patient and careful reader has proved the original to be uniform and without contradictory assertions from beginning to end. This is saying a good deal for a work so comprehensive as Oahspe. All right, y'all. So, anybody got any questions about that? You said God out here throwing down quail. Hold on. I think it was changed because of what it says about the Ehuns in later chapters. The later info about the Ehuns contradict verse 24's footnote is what Sheba was talking about. Hold on. The fish of flesh. It's the same if a migration of people left the state, but everyone is vegan. Okay. Yeah, I guess we'll keep reading through it. But yeah, it looks like it's a gradual change, and maybe they changed it because of the gradual change of diet over time. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. All right, y'all. So that's all we're gonna read here from the John Lant plates. I'm definitely not done with this book while I'm reading through here. I gotta go back, make my marks, and do a little bit more research. But we're gonna keep moving through it, and if it's clear enough, I'll get what's this next book we're starting on? I'm gonna print out what is next.
Cookie, can I end the video?
Hold on, baby. The Book of Apollo. Yeah, so I'm gonna print out Apollo. I think Apollo it's a pretty thick book. So I'm gonna print out this, and I'm gonna try and read ahead and try and point out changes that I see. You know, if y'all have time, point out things that y'all see, and we just kind of, look at it. Just make sure everything is flowing, right? All right, so with that being said, let's see. Hey, babe.
What's up, baby? What time is it?
I see what time it is. Right. It's 8:33. Let me see where we at over here. Let's read real quick, like 2 pages from Field Guide to the Spirit World. Time is my class. It's 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock, but I ain't got to drive. I hop right on. I be trying to squeeze out every moment that I can. Okay, hop on over here to Field Guide to the Spirit World, page 191. Right after the 2 quotes is where we pause. So we're going to pick up right there. And we just read a little bit. Then if I remember what it was, I'll do a quick recap. But let's just get into it. Okay, Dr. Fiore elaborates, quote, one of the strongest ties that bound spirits to the physical world was addiction to alcohol, drugs. I have treated many of these addicted patients. Spirit addicts tend to cluster around living addicts, end quote. Fior, 1987, page 35. The drinker has been the easiest to track. Popular sensitive and ghost seer James Van Praagh, 2008, page 142, couldn't make it out of the nightclub fast enough. Quote, although seeing people was difficult, seeing ghosts was not. The place was filled with them. Some sat alongside people at the bar, enjoying the pleasure of vodka martinis and tequila shots. I saw a long line of people waiting to get in. Several ghosts tagged along. The whole atmosphere was a scary movie in the making, end quote. Sheesh, jeez, Pete. Such ghosts, when seen on the astral plane, appear to be, quote, creatures of the low type, which feast on the alcoholic fumes exuding from the drunkard's body, end quote. Powell, 2007, page 103. Conversely, inubration helps, quote, open the door, end quote, as in the case of the spirit who admitted because his own spirit was loosely anchored in his body due to the influence of a few drinks, end quote. Ebon, 1974, page 43. And there is an asterisk here. It looks like I missed it. There's a definition, not a definition. There's an asterisk at the bottom of the page that's explaining something, but I don't see it on the page. Hold on. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's there, but it's at the top of the last portion that we read. So I'm going to keep going. Go to page 192. I hasten to add that there may be situational factors beyond a person's control, factors that can just as easily attract a predatory spirit. It probably comes as no surprise that isolation is one of those factors. This situation crosses all cultural boundaries. In Marquesian society in the Pacific, Vahina Hay are fearful spirits of the night. The islanders said that these returning spirits only manifest themselves to isolated individuals. So when one had to go out of his hut after sunset, he always had a friend accompanying him. Sri Lankans hold an almost identical belief here. The woman called Samavati became the victim of a spirit attack after making the mistake of walking alone at a time after 6 p.m., quote, when the evil spirits are out, end quote. Quote, alone, end quote. In Sinhalese belief, quote, is a dangerous state. It makes a person vulnerable to demonic attack. Such an attack during a period of aloneness is known as tanikam dosa, troubles of aloneness caused by demons, end quote. Crapazano and Garrison, 1977, page 250. Although, quote, demons, end quote, are unacceptable to the rational mindset of the West, some practitioners simply ignore the fiat. Dr. M. Scott Peck, for one, was in the tiny minority of psychiatrists that acknowledges possession and performs exorcisms on their patients. Significantly, Peck discovered acute isolation in the background of his most difficult cases, Jersey and Becca.
You belong to me. What?
I do. Okay. Significantly, Peck discovered acute isolation in the background of his most difficult cases, Jersey and Becca. When Becca's possessing spirit spoke through her mouth, it declared, quote, I attacked her when she was 5 because she was always alone, end quote. Consulting his colleagues on similar cases, the brave doctor found that, quote, each of their case histories described the patients as being lonely to a greater degree than one might expect. I have begun to suspect that loneliness may be a precondition for possession, end quote. Peck 2005, page 170, year 2005, page 179, and page 245. And this is where a lot of people who get depressed run into trouble as well, right? Because most of the time, they spend a lot of time alone. And sometimes they could be in the midst of a room full of people and still consider themselves alone, right? But when they get alone, and especially they're not thinking straight, their spiritual essence begins to wane, or people say that the light on the aura begins to dim, and it allows openings for spirits who are hanging around, vagabond spirits who are hanging around, to attach themselves to you. And now they start hearing voices and stuff like that, right? Mr. Murphy. Okay. Although failing to explore its implications, conventional psychiatry is aware of this pattern, especially in MPD cases. The famous Sybil was effectively isolated from the normal child life by all the prohibitions and dogma of her family's fundamentalist faith. 2, Dr. Mayer found that one of his multiple patients first took on an altar, quote, when she was left alone in the house, locked in the closet, end quote. Mayer, 1989, page 187. Acute loneliness figures in numerous MPD cases, and in many instances, we see that the isolation is actually enforced. Quote, abusive fathers, end quote, observes Mayer, quote, work diligently to keep their families isolated, to keep the secret intact, end quote. Mayer, 1989, page 210. Billy Milligan's first, quote, inner friend appeared before him when he was not quite 4 years old and lonely. It was the same night that his father attempted suicide. After that, whenever he was lonely, quote, he would just close his eyes. When he opened them, he would be in a different place, end quote. Keyes, 1981, page 147 and 157. Solitary existence may be shaped by negligent, absentee parents, as was the case with Rod Farrell, the animal torturing teen vampire killer who more or less bought himself up. Stark isolation can be a breeding ground for obsessions. In Dr. Rappaport's high school survey, 1989, page 113, most OC teenagers fell into this pattern. Quote, as we hit true cases, we heard stories of lonely and odd childhoods, end quote. When Beth came to Dr. Levenkron with a full-blown case of OCD, therapy revealed that her father had deserted his family. The mother was a working alcoholic, and all her siblings were older and already moved out. Beth became a latchkey kid, quote, nearly always home alone, end quote. And it was a neighbor who molested this, quote, easy prey, end quote, at age 9. Not even crying. I know, right? That neighbor, I would have been in jail. The neighbor, his whole house would have been burnt down with him inside of it, killed first. I feel some type of way about some of this stuff. Not even chronic illness or frequent surgeries or permanent disabilities can match the psychic destructiveness of isolation, especially in the formative years. Indeed, it is one of the most common elements in the breakdown of self, discovered across the board in obsession, possession, MPD, and psychopathy. Picture the desperate, lonely child who creates imaginary playmates like the, quote, other personalities now living in her body, end quote, that Lauren, quote, had made up and given names when she was a frightened, lonely child, end quote. Mayer, 1989, page 111. Or Arthur Shawcross, who, quote, never had friends, end quote, but created imaginary ones. Quote, I wanted someone to play with so bad, end quote. He talked with his conjured companions and heard their, quote, tiny, end quote, voices. Artie's schoolmates called him, quote, Oddie, O-D-D-I-E, end quote. Quote, my child life was all being alone, end quote. Arthur Shawcross, serial killer. Quote, an imaginary playmate can grow into an alternate personality, end quote. Richard Knoll, Bizarre Disease of the Mind. And after this little quote, that is where we're going to pause at today. We back to the Dr. Ruth YouTube channel. You see my husband come up behind me, Dawn. Look, when we get to some of these things where we can talk about some marriage shenanigans, it probably will turn into a Dr. Ruth session. We have me and my husband talking about some stuff. Y'all can ask us some questions, maybe. We'll see. What you think about that, babe? We'll see. Talk about some of our shenanigans and the things we did, the things we did to keep our union together. We going on 22 years. Some of our marriage advice may be a little unorthodox, but
it works for us.
It worked for us.
You just gotta find out what worked for you.
Right, right. That's what we're gonna call unorthodox marriage advice.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. That is it for today. They got to get out of here. It is Saturday, December the 17th, 2022, day 290 of year 4, reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1309. Today, we read all of the Lord's book from the John Lant plates, and we noticed a few changes going through there. If you came in late, go back to the beginning of the video so you can hear about it. And then that was actually in big blue. That's on page 84 all the way to page 88 in big blue. And if you don't have the John Lant plates, email me. You can find the email in the About section. The email is Pamela@awakeningthetruth.com, but hold on, no, that's wrong. That's why I say go to the About section, because I be screwing up my own email. It's Pamela@awakeningthetruthministry.com, but ministry is spelled not like ministry to Y. Just go look at it, copy and paste it, send me an email, put in the subject John Lant plates, and I'll send you a copy of it. I'll send you the link. Now we working on about a week. Got about a week left before this link will no longer be working, right? That's how they set it up for me, right? They say after a week, they say download quickly, because after about 2 weeks, it will no longer work. And they completely clear it off of their, she said they completely clear it off of their database and out of everything. So which I'm thinking is, so if anybody else, they may not post this. They may not make it available for everybody else, which we was talking about day before yesterday. So everybody else that go to get it, maybe they may have to pay what I paid. If they get it in a format like I got, maybe they may have to pay for it all over again. It's a money maker for the college, but hey. So if you want it, send me an email before this link no longer works. And it's a big file, so as soon as you get it, download it. Download it somewhere, and after you download it in PDF format, maybe you can resize it or something. I don't mind if you share it. Share with people who are interested, those that are studying and trying to figure out. Share it. I got it for y'all. Enjoy. But we're gonna go through it together, and just make sure we are we're not missing anything. We know that they've added things in the book of Safai, and just other places taking out things, whatever, but we just want to make sure we get the light in its purest form when it was first given, right? So that's what all this is about. I hope y'all enjoy it. I enjoy hanging out with y'all, and I gotta go. I love y'all. Bella, Jace. Peace and blessings, everybody. Okay. Oh, Jamil, I'm gonna send you before I start class. I'm gonna send you the yes. Thank you for putting it in. That's my email. Yeah, Pamela@awakeningthetruthministry.com. Ministry is spelled MINESTRE. Thank you. So email me there, and just like I said, put in John Lant plate, and if you don't have it, I'll give it to you. As soon as you get it, download it, keep it, save it, right? All right. And Jamia, I'm gonna send you the name and the link to the other book that we was chatting about with my disclaimer. Read my full disclaimer before you open that up, right? Okay. All right. All right, beautiful people. They came down here. Bella! I'm about to end it. She taking too long. I got to go. I love y'all. I see y'all. Oh. Bella. And on the weekend, we're going to keep to the time at 7:30 on Saturdays. Even when I have my class, I'm gonna just cut the video short instead of coming on early at 6:15. So thank you, Vanette, for recommending that. We're just going to keep our 7:30 time on the weekend, Saturday, unless the Sabbath falls there, right? So 7:30 tomorrow, 7:30 every Saturday and Sunday from this time on. And if you're watching from the backup channel, I got it programmed to do a replay at 12 p.m. So 12 p.m. every day, aside from the Sabbath, on the backup channel here, 6:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday, Saturday and Sunday, 7:30. Just give people a little bit extra time to sleep in. Give me some time to sleep in. Most of the time I don't, and I'm just up. But it just give me some more time for me. There she go. Tootie. Hey, girl. Hey, let's end it. Her and Jace. All right. What is this in your head? You got Lant. All right, y'all. I see y'all. Oh, wait. Hold on. I forgot to say. Hold on. Father, we thank you for critical thinking skills. No, y'all just hop up here. All right, y'all. I love y'all. See y'all back here tomorrow morning, 7:30, bright and early, Eastern Standard Time. Peace. Go ahead and take us out here, y'all.
Right here.
All right, yeah, in that.
Okay.
Jace will in YouTube. Bella go in Facebook. Bye, y'all.
Cat pie. Jace.